It's frightening. Some of the images are frightening, and that's not an insult. It's a compliment. It is really cool. It is excellently done. Frightening and disturbing.
We cover all the pop culture news here on Earth, all the way out to the Gamma Quadrant. This is Rob from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and you're listening to Talk Talk Punch.
It's our top 3 spookiest TV shows. Welcome to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. Thank you so much to both our audio podcast listeners and our YouTube viewers for joining us. I am Brody, joined by Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
And the Dale Cooper, or Agent Cooper, of these Twin Peaks, Charlie Hickman.
That is a damn fine intro.
Well,
high praise, sir. Thank you.
If you haven't already, we'd love it if you subscribe so that way you can come back here every Wednesday to hang out and have some fun with us. So, this one's going to be a fun one. It's our top 3 spookiest TV shows because we're in October and October is spooky. And I don't like the horror stuff, but these guys do, so they make me do these topics. All right. Well, I was able to come up with 3, so let's just get right into it. Yeah, I actually, and it didn't take me that long either. It wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
Okay. What did I say the order was? It's Dylan, and then me, and then Charlie. So Dylan, what's your number 3?
Interestingly, my number 3 is Twin Peaks. As you're name checking it already.
Whoa.
That I'll admit, I was when it first came out, it looked too scary even to watch, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this to myself. But then later on, once it got onto, I think it was Netflix, or something along those lines, or Hulu, I decided to give it a watch, and yeah, no, it was in fact scary, very scary, disturbing, and scary. Not is every episode scary? No, but very few TV shows have I watched that actually, give a sense of fear and dread, and this is definitely one of them.
Are you including when they brought it back?
I didn't actually see that yet. I still haven't seen it. I still need to see it. Isn't it on Netflix? Because I don't have Netflix.
I haven't seen it. I don't know what it's on.
It was on Showtime. I don't know if it's ventured anywhere else.
Mm.
Well, there you
So
go.
either way, I mean, yeah. I saw these, the original series, and I thought it was very well done. I think excellent TV show, and indeed incredibly scary, disturbing, all that stuff. If I'd watched this as a kid, I would have been even more scared. I'd be like, nope, not doing it.
I wonder if this is going to show up on somebody else's list later on.
It's frightening. Some of the images are frightening, and that's not an insult. It's a compliment. It is really cool. It is excellently done. Frightening and disturbing. It's frightening. Some of the images are frightening, and that's not an insult. It's a compliment. It is really cool. It is excellently done. Frightening and disturbing.
Well, it's David Lynch. So
that's true.
Sense.
I mean,
all right. My number 2 is
number 3.
Number 3. You're right. My number 3 is a little bit older, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but I used to kind of watch it as a kid, and it was scary back then. That's the X-Files.
Oh. Mm-hmm,
I remember when this came out in like the early-ish, mid-ish 90s, and it came on at like a time that wasn't super late but wasn't super early, and so you kind of watch it and you just get super I had a fear, like a real fear, of being abducted by aliens, and I don't know,
this must have scared
I don't know, like this probably played into it, but there was a genuine fear that I was going to get abducted by aliens, and then I would watch this and it would creep me out even more. But it wasn't just aliens. They had all sorts of stuff. They had cults and Satanists and government people in black, and all. There was a lot of stuff. It was a creepy show, and I had to look it up. I was like, okay, was this was this actually like a horror show? And yeah, it's
And
listed
it was, right?
as
Yeah.
a horror show. So went for 11 seasons, had 2 movies, well, 10 seasons, and then they brought it back like
Right. Yeah.
2016 or something like that. And actually, by the time it finished up, it was the longest running science fiction series in U.S. television history.
Hmm. I didn't know that. That's cool.
So, but yeah, this was creepy. This creeped me out big time when I was like in that like tween early teenage years. It was scary. It was scary.
I missed the show. There's certain gaps that exist in my television and movie history that I regret, and not watching this when it was on. One of them, because I did try to go back and watch it like recently, and I couldn't get into it now. But I imagine that if I'd been watching it when it was airing, it would have been awesome.
So,
Um, so I missed it.
all right, Charlie, what's your number 3?
All right. So look. All right. Scary is a relative term, and I like to think of for the purposes of these lists and other lists that we'll do in the future. When we talk about scary movies or scary TV shows, think of like spice and food.
Okay.
And so we all, as we're when we're young, we're experimenting with different spiciness. We don't know what's too spicy for us, what's not spicy enough, and we're trying different cuisines and just experimenting a little bit. I remember being in my 20s and I love spicy food, and the idea of doing like hot food challenges or spicy food challenges seemed like a good idea. Like just the spicier the better. Whatever I could find to make my mouth burn was great. And as I got older, I decided, I like spicy food still, but it's way more important that the food tastes good. I'm not eating spicy just for it to be spicy. So when it
Right.
comes to like scary stuff, like, I went through a lot of phases where I just like would want to consume as much as possible. And now I kind of have a pretty good idea of where my limitations are, and I want it to be a good story and a good show. So I try to pick my list full of things that I thought were both good stuff and then also kind of left some kind of residue on me. Something that kind of like stayed with me after viewing, whether, it was like just in a disturbing way or in an uneasy way. And so my number 3 is probably the creepiest show on my list. And it's one that, depending on what your personal phobias are, you could like
Hmm.
pick the season to watch and really kind of enjoy the spiciness because it's a American Horror Story, and kind of each season kind of brings
Yeah.
some new elements of horror. If you're terrified of ghosts, well, hey, we got you covered. Oh, you don't like witches? Okay, all right, we got you. Cults, murderous, people, hotels. You want crazy clowns and killer. So a lot of this setup here is from Asylum, which I think is the scariest season 2. Oh man, uh,
Hmm.
nothing worse than a 1960s Asylum.
Right.
It is it is an ominous and very kind of well set up environment. I think the first season might be still my favorite just because it was the first one I watched, and I think it's probably the most well put together. But anyway, this is it's a good show. You can kind of pick your fears and kind of skip the seasons you don't want to watch. Watch the seasons you do. They're all creepy and they're all kind of fun in their own way. But it's pretty easy, I think, to divorce yourself from like the reality of these shows. Like I just mentioned that I think Asylum is maybe like one of the scariest seasons, but also I'm not afraid that I'm gonna be in a 1960s asylum.
Okay.
Like that's not like on my list of fears. I
Sure.
don't think that I'm ever gonna end up in a witch's coven or a haunted house. So like it's kind of fun. You can kind of like be in scary environments, and experience the atmosphere and the ambiance. But it doesn't necessarily like reconnect to like a real world fear, if that makes sense. So that's why it's number 3 on my list.
Bro,
I
have you
never
seen this?
I never got into this because it looked too scary.
I saw the first season, and yeah, no, that was scary. Scary enough for me to be like, nope, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, I think I have like a curiosity to watch it. And there's times where I'm like, I should just try it. But then I'm like, oh, but it looks so scary. I don't have anything like this. All my stuff is a bit older.
Try,
Besides
try
one.
season 1,
But this
Brody. Try season 1.
it
It's
looks so
it's not a
scary, Charlie. It looks so
no. It's
scary.
it's 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 good. It's a well told story. It's just enough. It's like a good amount of spicy. The food is still delicious.
All right. We'll see.
It's true, bro. The first season is real. That's the only one I saw. It's really good. It really is.
This is on Netflix, right?
I don't know. I should always look that up before we do these lists, but I don't have Netflix, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh,
It
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
a Netflix
I don't
thing.
know. All right. Number 2, Tudong. What's your number 2?
My number 2, I did watch this as it was airing. It aired on HBO. I'm not going to say Max because it wasn't Max back then, or HBO Max. It was just HBO. And although not every single one of them were scary per se, some of them were a lot funnier than they were scary, but they always tried to have that kind of creepy vibe. And I loved it. I still love it. I rewatched the entire series again, and that is Tales from the Crypt.
Ah, nice.
Nice.
This is a classic. This is something that you could get into, bro, because it's got that. It's some of it can be kind of schlocky, it could be kind of funny, it could be exceedingly creepy, and occasionally very, very scary. This is one of those where like it aired later in the evening, like maybe like 10 or 11. And even if my mom was watching, it came by and she hates anything horror. She would sometimes watch some of these as well, and I was like, can't be that bad or that scary if she was in it. But I mean, like, this is one of those that I definitely grew up with, and I love it. And I mean, obviously, it's a horror series, but it is absolutely fantastic. Love the stars, love the scripts, love all of those kinds of things. Fantastic. Have you seen this one? I know Charlie's seen this, bro. Have you seen it?
I remember the cartoon.
Well, yeah. Hey, there you go. That's a part of it.
No, this is a great pick.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. My number 2 is a recent one. So recent, in fact, that it's still going.
Whoa, really?
Dun dun dun.
And that is Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking back. I feel like although I mean the recent stuff has still been kind of scary and creepy, but like that first season especially, I kind of harken back to, and I was like, oh, this is it really has that kind of Steven Spielberg, like uh Wes Craven type stuff, or like just like that, the 80s kind of spooky stuff. You've got the kids, you don't know what's going on, you've got some monsters, you got some supernatural stuff, you've got some mystery to it. Like, it was just so neat and so different with the aesthetic that it had, and I really liked it. And it was like it was scary,
Yeah.
and I know that we've got season 5 coming at some point, but I don't know. Maybe this probably should have ended after like season 3 or something like that. It should have wrapped up in 2 or 3 seasons. The kids are like 30 years old now. It's just kind of weird to watch, but that first season, just I feel like the first season I would love to go back and just like rewatch that first season, because it was good. It was scary. And I even sat down and watched this with my wife, because I was hearing the buzz about it. I'm like, oh, let's watch this. And she doesn't like scary stuff at all. And after the first episode, she's like, not for me. And then she like came back the next day. She's like, okay, so I'm actually kind of interested in watching it.
Wow.
And so we've watched it since then, and it's been good. But I've really enjoyed this one. So.
I have a theory that they had Winona Ryder just like in her house, and they're like, listen, we're gonna come and we're just gonna kind of film and just be yourself. And that's exactly the whole first season for her. People kind of come in and she's just like flipping out. Look, the lights. Oh, this is the elephant. Oh, and they're just kind of like, huh, uh-huh. Okay, your kid, right? And she's like, and then they're like, yeah, all right, that's okay. We're gonna go and take these notes and do something with them. Bye bye. And that's basically all of her part right there. I don't know what happened in the rest of the series, but that's my theory for at least season 1.
There you go. That's a good theory. Good theory.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody I say that to who loves Stranger Things is like, that makes sense. At least for the first season, it makes sense. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
But I did hear the new season, Brody, is actually about the children of the kids. So they're gonna. So that's gonna be the new season. So
Yeah, they're old
uh,
enough. They're old enough to
yeah,
have kids.
they
Like
all have
it's
children of their own, and just so it's
yeah.
all right. So look, my number two is, in my opinion, not as scary a show as my number three by any stretch.
Okay.
And it's not meant to be, but it is anchored in kind of like a Monsters Among Us kind of way. That as I get older, I think kind of taps into a little bit more of like what has now become like at the forefront of my fears in life, which is like my kids, right? Protecting my children. Where it used to be kind of fun to like, you watch a show and you daydream like for instance, like Walking Dead, which isn't on my list. You read the graphic novel or watch the show and
Mm.
you think, okay, what would I do in a zombie apocalypse? And you daydream about it for some reason being fun, even though it would be horrible and awful. And now like it's like now the first, okay, how do I keep my kids alive? Where am I getting insulin for my son? Like how do I? And it's just all very stressful and it's no longer fun. It's just maximum anxiety of like, oh gosh.
Sure.
And so my number two is Criminal Minds, which is like a procedural, and it's been on for forever, and much like Stranger Things, hey, still going. Uh, and it started with Mandy Patinkin, and I would just watch about anything with Mandy Patinkin in it. And he just like had such a grounding presence in the first few seasons that just I enjoyed it. It was like it's procedural, it's on the dark side, but this and that. But man, the seasons keep rolling on, and just stuff with kids in it. Just I can't do it. The bad things happening to kids. It's not even like Stranger Things is hard to watch. Like, poor Will, man.
Yeah.
That just
Mm.
I just want to hug. I want to hug the children. It's like what? It's like every season the writers get in a room. They're like, what are the bad things we could do to Will? But like this, like the family annihilators, and like there's like I don't remember a season where they're like some guys barricading doors and windows and lighting the house on fire to kill a whole family with like flames and burn them to death. Like I just like that stuff. Like I just can't engage with it anymore. It's just like, man, like
Sure.
that plays into that taps into too much of like the real life fear of being able to protect these sweet innocent children. Oof. So this one is scary personally to me at this point now because I I don't like the reminder of all the real life monsters that live. So my number deuce.
Sometimes the real world could be scarier than the fictional one.
It's true.
Mhm.
Give me the upside down. Let's go.
There we go. All right, number one. Tudong, what's your number one? Can I guess
My
it?
number.
Can I guess it?
Go for it. Go for it.
Is it Ash versus the Evil Dead?
That's funny that you mentioned that because I considered that. However, it's so Ash is so cool. I'm like, maybe I was a little bit like a little. I got a jump scare in that very first episode, but after that, it was really cool, and it's Ash and all that. But no, it's not. Actually, it's a bit more traditional, and this is something I definitely grew up on. They had a marathon of this every Thanksgiving, and I'd love to watch this. And that
Twilight
is
Zone.
yes, that's it.
Oh,
That's what
nice.
it is. Loved the Twilight Zone. It could be fun, it could be funny, but it could be very scary. Like I can think of several episodes where it just would give me the creeps. Even if it didn't last too long, I would just be like, all right, where's the remote? Oh, it's over. All right, never mind. And we're going on to the next one. Wait, what happened to the remote? This was too scary. I think this is an absolute classic. I think Rod Serling is brilliant, and I think what he did with this is like absolute. Sometimes it's science fiction, sometimes it's supernatural. I mean, I think it was fantastic, unbelievable, absolutely one of the kind of best shows out there. If I had a top 10, this would easily be on there. Maybe top 5. I don't know if we've even done those, but definitely this.
Can I ask you a question? Have
Please,
either of you watched the new, like the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone?
Mm-mm.
I haven't. I don't know where it's playing. Is it on Netflix?
It's
Because
on a
that's
Paramount Plus.
Oh, it's on
I haven't had that.
Paramount? I have Paramount. I should watch that.
You do?
I do.
All right. Well,
It
that's your
might be
assignment, Brody.
scary.
Yeah,
Watch it
I
and
want to
get back
watch
to us.
that.
Let us know if it's any good.
His
And
stuff is on
also,
is on is on Peacock.
Mhm.
Jordan Peele's like movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
yeah. Those are good. I enjoy the movie, so I'm curious to see like if the show is good.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he's a talented director. He's got an eye
Yeah.
for horror and suspense, and this is like a good format for that. So it seems like it should be a well paired match. But
Now, what about Twilight Zone the movie?
yeah, I was gonna say that if you ever want to read some scary stuff, read about the behind the scenes, the things that
Oh,
happen in that movie.
jeez. Yeah, no, I have, and those are very scary. I thought when I was a kid, I watched that movie. The very first scene with Dan Aykroyd was frightening. When I saw like the one where the kid like could do stuff with his mind, and you see the sister with no mouth, I don't know why, creeped me all the way out. And then, they weren't finished, they also had the John Lithgow like doing a remake, even more frightening,
Yeah,
of the guy. Somebody's on the plane, and then
the
at the
William
very end,
Shatner
he's
one.
all like, "Hey, I helped everybody." And then, of course, Dan Aykroyd's there again. He's like, "You want to do something real scary?" I was like, exceedingly scary, even without all the behind the scenes stuff. Yikes. Just that first one, that first Dan Aykroyd one was frightening. You don't expect that. Albert Brooks and Dan Aykroyd. Come on.
No, this is a very good pick, Tudong.
Thank you.
All right. My number one is actually a crossover.
Hmm.
I didn't think we would have a crossover, but we do. And that's with
The
Tudong,
tail.
and that
Tales
is
from the
Tales from the
Yeah,
Crypt.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
Tales from the Crypt. Now,
It's a great one.
little like asterisk to mine is we didn't have HBO growing up, and so I didn't see it on HBO, but they did it played on Fox for a couple years, like in syndication, like
Hmm.
at night, just the reruns. And so I would have to like if I couldn't like stay up super late or something like that, I would record it on VHS and then watch it later. But oh, I
Really?
loved this little series. I loved the Crypt Keeper. I loved just the creepiness of the whole thing, and just the fact that like you knew you could go in and watch an episode and like and then just be done. And like maybe everybody's gonna die and maybe somebody's gonna live, but like you knew that you just had that, that one block of time and then you were out. And so you kind of had like a hard out. You didn't have to follow up or anything like that. But oh
Nice.
man, this one was so creepy, and I loved it as
Yeah.
like a this is kind of the same. I think it was playing on Fox around the same time as X Files, so I
Hmm.
was apparently watching a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I was trying not to like show my cards too early, so I didn't bring it up when you were talking about it before too long. But yeah, I
Nice. Yeah,
loved
it's a
Tales
good
from the
one.
Crypt, and I liked I don't know, the movies were fine, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't see any of those.
You watched Demon Knight was such a weird movie, man.
It was such a weird movie. Yeah, it was. Um, I also liked Tales from the Dark Side. I know those
Oh
were more
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like movies, but similar type things. I just really enjoyed like the anthology type stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so there's my number one, Tales from the Crypt, baby.
Nice choice.
If anyone's interested in the aforementioned Tales from the Crypt Keeper cartoon, I believe that is on Prime Video, and I believe also on Tubi if
Hey.
you are in the mood for a few ads, but for free.
Really?
So
That's
you
fun.
can watch 3 seasons of Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
Oh my goodness.
Nice. They used to have Freddy's Nightmares on there, but I think I like to watch part of one of them, or one episode or something, and like they're off of Tubi now, so I don't know where they are, but that would have been on there if I had actually watched it.
All right,
All
Charlie,
right.
you're number one.
My number one is easy to guess, and I mentioned in the beginning that I wanted to focus on stuff that kind of left a little bit of a residue. And I remember being a young man and for the first time watching this television show and just kind of being enthralled by it. I'd never seen anything like it on television. There just wasn't TV like this back in the day. This is, I think, predates even the HBO. It's not television, it's HBO. And so this was just like a twisty and wild ride of a television show with wonderful imagery and the incredibly uber talented David Lynch at the helm. And so, Dylan had Twin Peaks on his list. It is my number one, and I'll try not to spoil it because I do think it's still worth watching. And this is on Paramount Plus if you're in the mood for, a little rewatch of history. Uh, and then I think even the new stuff, which is included in my scariness, because the new
Okay.
stuff is like, man, there are some episodes like David Lynch does a really good job of decentering the viewer. And
Yeah.
if you're just casually watching, like if you're kind of like on your phone and scrolling, and you're not like submerged in the imagery and the music and the way that he just pieces all the different parts of what he's, whether it's this Twin Peaks or his movies or whatever together. It's kind of easy just to kind of dismiss it as just being like haphazard, but it's all very meaningful and purposeful, and the delivery and the presentation and the lighting and the colors and just all the different characters and what they're doing. And so I think David Lynch is just a genius, and I think Twin Peaks is funny. Like there's a lot of really funny parts and a lot of great characters, and then there's just like creepy moments, like a camera pans through a room in the early parts of the season, and you don't notice, but there's like a face in there, and then it shows you later on in the season the face that was there that you didn't see the first time you're there, and then you go back and you watch and you're like, there's the face, I didn't see the face, and you just like all of and the themes are really dark and really disturbing,
Yeah.
and like the movie Fire Walks with Me really leans into like the just the oh spine tingling. But I will tell you, I'm not gonna say, I don't want to spoil the ending, but the ending of the first season like broke, or sorry, the second season, the
Mm,
ending of the TV show, it just
mhm.
broke me when I was younger. Like I had been so invested in these characters and in the storytelling, and then it ended like with just like the biggest like rug pull that I'd ever experienced, and it just I was, this can't be over. Like it can't be over. It just can't. And and I just thought about it like more than I had ever thought about like a TV show. Like TV show at this point to my life had just been kind of stuff that you kind of watch and then you watch and then you watch it past you. It's like, oh, I watched Cheers. Okay, great. It's over. I don't need to think about it. Or it's an episode of Seinfeld. It's great. The Simpsons. Great. I watch it. I'm on. This stuff like stuck to me, and I was like, okay, they gotta rescue my boy. They got to find a way to
Mhm.
bring this back. And then they announced,
Mhm.
okay, we're doing like a series of movies. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness we're gonna get the movies. And then Fire Walk with Me comes out. It's a huge flop. Nobody sees it. And then they just cancel the rest of the movies. And it's a prequel.
Yeah.
They did one movie and they did a prequel. They didn't rescue my boy, and then finally,
Oof.
like all these years later, they come out with a show, and and still haven't really rescued my boy. Anyway, it doesn't.
Mm.
You don't need to know my personal wounds that are attached to the show, but it is unnerving and disturbing. There's like a large, chunks of an episode that's told in a new season that's like doesn't even have dialogue. It's just like sounds, and it's just like really tremendous to watch, but also incredibly disturbing and decentering. And ah, it is good stuff. This is like the perfect level of spice on the perfect dish for me. I love this.
And this was
I love this show a
this
lot.
was just on like ABC, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just
this
on
was like
regular
It was
prime
just
television.
like
time.
regular television. Like it's so crazy to me that Twin Peaks, as it was airing, was just like not
We did studio.
cable, not like an additional charge on top of cable like HBO, just like the free stuff. If you had bunny ears, you could watch this. Like,
It was really ahead of its time. And if you ever want to
Mm.
read about this, I think this is worth reading about. We do drafts here with studio interference, but the studio interference and how the
Oh,
reveal of Laura Palmer's murder and how the subsequent ending of the show, it's all very upsetting, and could have been truly one of the great TV shows of all time if we could have just let the studio execs sit this one out. Let David Lynch cook.
there you go. All right. Well, I'm actually very surprised that we had two crossovers. I felt bad, Dylan. I felt like we were super quiet going through yours because Charlie and I both had crossovers with your. So it's like
I
great
I would
pick.
have been kind
Moving
of
on.
surprised. I would have been a little bit surprised if they if especially those two were crossovers. So I understood. I was like, they're probably going to have more to say on there. So I get it.
All right. Well, you guys have anything else to add to this?
This is a fun list to think through, and there's lots of look, some honorable mentions, like Hannibal. It's a disturbing show, but really good. I liked The Haunting of Hill House. Did you guys watch that on Netflix?
I didn't watch that.
Mm.
No.
That's a good show. If you're like ghosts are kind of spooky to you, I think that's kind of a well done spook fest. There's lots of fun ones. So if you guys have some favorites of your own, you should definitely let us know in the comments. Dylan, was the Tall Man just in movies, or did the Tall Man ever have a TV show?
He was sadly only in the movies. That would have been great
Ah
if there
man.
was a Phantasm TV show. It was nonsensical. The movies were exceedingly nonsensical.
Well, I know a lot of execs watch this show, especially during the strike because they're pretty bored. But so if you want to get in this, the Tall Man TV show, we can make it happen. Phantasm.
Boy.
We can do this.
All right.
All right. Well, make sure you hit that like or subscribe below that beautiful beard, and have a safe and spooky Halloween. Let us know if you want to watch any scary TV shows with us.
Mm.
Not too scary though for poor dear Brody.
Yeah, yeah.
His beard was dark brown when we started this list.
It's true. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.